Hey everyone, we are taking a look at World of Kings, and I've been asked to do a Templar build video, so I thought I'd go through what I have for my Templar build. The three skills here, the hammer and the two shields at the top, are the attacks I use the most. I would focus on leveling these three skills up first to level 9, 10, whichever you're going to be able to get them up to. You can generate a good amount of threat with these three skills, so if you are an off tank in a raid, you only want to hit this hammer skill. Do not use your two shield attacks when you are off tank. You will likely pull aggro off of the other tanks, so that's not a good thing to do. So just make sure to just use the hammer skill when you are off tanking. Shield of Retribution here is your AoE attack, and this will allow you to keep aggro on multiple mobs while you're tanking. So that one I hit often as it usually comes up, because it's going to hit everyone around you. Shield Slam here is your highest DPS attack, so I hit that whenever it is refreshed. It is also important to note that when you use Holy Grasp, you want to have Mighty Power, the middle option, selected. It gives an additional charge for pulling, and that is really important because this is your taunt that you have. It's the highest threat. So when you are pulling a mob or changing tanks, the Holy Grasp is what you would like to use. I'm not going to go through all of the engravings because you can see what I have here on the screen, so that should be what you use for engravings, or at least what I use. So for Celestial Speed, I have cooldown. It's not really important to do the inscriptions on Celestial Speed. On the hammer, I have additional damage. I also use the range skill on the hammer because I often have to tank from a little further away. But honestly, you could probably have a damage one in there as well. I don't know if it's really important to do the range. For the Shield of Retribution, I use damage, and I also have a shield absorbs some of your attacks, so I do use that one for the Shield of Retribution. For Brutal Force, I just have both damages on that particular inscription. So then again, Celestial Speed, I have the skills cooldown. Damage, again, this one I don't know if you should bother with inscriptions, but you can do additional damage. And these are, this one I would use a shield that it gives shields to friendly people around you. So I would do that as well. So again, for inscriptions, I would do Holy Grasp, Celestial Steed, and the Light Recovery one, the last. For Mastery, I'm using the Divine Berserker. I think that's what it says. I can't read it very well. And in here, I'm using more Iron Guard than Combat Master. You could go with more DPS on a tank build. For me, I prefer to have it a little more tanky because in the higher dungeons, I still struggle sometimes. And not too much, but a little bit, enough that I have to kind of tweak builds occasionally. So I like to have my talents be a little bit more tanky and dodge. Unlike if you're using like Dragon Rider, where they have a lot of dodge to begin with, Templar does not have as much. And so I do go for the dodge a little bit more on Templar with the tanking. Again, some of these talents are armor and resistance, and the magical mitigation, and then some for increasing damage. So hopefully that helps. Now for the sigils, I have 3 different builds. This one is mostly focused on strength and crit, and those are going to be what I use mostly. I have 2 other builds that I use for tanking. One of them is increased hit points. So I have a hit point build here. And if I tend to die during a sheer damage or something like that, or I'm just taking a lot of damage for something like sheer damage, I will switch to my hit points build because I know that it's going to just keep me a little bit higher to be able to get past those and not have the healers struggle so much. So I do have a hit points build. The other one I have is called 115, and this is actually a dodge build because you want your dodge and your parry, when you add them together, to reach 115. Now mine's not that high, but if you find that you're getting one shot by boss, that you just don't have the hit points and you think that you probably should up your hit points, if you're getting one shot, more than likely you're going to need to up your dodge. That will help probably more than upping just your hit points. So here I do have some hit point sigils on there, but I mostly go for anything related to dodge. Alright, for my Reforge, I'm not 100% sure what these all should be. I just kind of went off of what I thought would work best. If you have any suggestions for what would work great for Templar for Reforge, feel free to post it. I use Shield Mastery and Careful Aim. And then the next one I ended up changing. Well, this one's still Careful Aim. The next one after this, I ended up switching to Careful Aim as well. Cat's Grace is alright because it does give you more dodge, but I'm not sure it's really the best one. Again, with Savage, I probably would go with something else, but I think I would do Cat's Grace over Savage. And then Merciless here of +2, we're going to go for a DPS one. That's what I use. For the other ones, I'm mostly using attack, hit points, or a dodge for the little one in the middle. But sometimes it's whatever you can get. Like this one, I don't even have for the last one, but for the middle part. But I wanted the +2 on the bottom. So just kind of use your best judgment with that. But that's kind of where I went with the Reforges. For the feathers, I mean, these are pretty standard. I'm using Strength and Vitality for pretty much everything. For both feathers and spirits, it really doesn't matter which one is the main stat. It's just as long as you have it consistent through the whole either wing feather thing or the temple, you are good because it will convert over to your main stat if you have the Profession Master. So for these, I think the most important thing with your temples is that you have 2, either strength or vitality. When you start having like a vitality, a strength, and a dex, then you're not going to be using that as much. It's not as good as having like 2 strengths and a vitality, or 3 strengths. So you want to try to stick with your main stats. It's hard to get those, so you can get those as you go, but it's good to aim for having vitality and strength as the main ones on there. Also, for the temples, the pink one, I use like a 7% bonus to those or something. If you need additional information on how to set up your temples or your feathers, please check my other videos. I have ones on both of those. But for this, I just wanted to point out that if your evasion and your parry, you want to add together and have them be at least 100, maybe 115 is really the max. That's hard to get to with Templar. But the higher your evasion plus your parry is, the more you're going to be resistant against or dodge against level 85 mobs, because it does go down the higher level mob you're fighting. So if it's closer to 115, you're going to have closer to 100% evasion with the 85 mobs. Okay, last I'm going to take a look at my runes, and just like my sigils, I have 3 different builds for tanking. I have the Templar build, the hit points build, and the dodge build. So here is my hit points build. I tend to go with the runes that have more vitality in them. The dodge build, again, I go for things with more dodge in them. And then the regular Templar build is one with strength and crit. And that is what I use most of the time. So usually for really tough mobs, I will go in and change my my sigils and my runes if I need to, just to give me that little extra boost. And it really does help. So hopefully you found this helpful for how to kind of get an idea of how to set up your Templar. And thank you for watching.